Well, I disagree. I think we've won the war. I'm just waiting for the president to go before the American people and formally announce it. I mean, we've sunk their Navy, we've destroyed their military, we've decimated their defense industrial complex. They have no way to produce a nuclear weapon tonight.
Iran has been active at these nuclear sites. All the nuclear material is still in Iran. They have reconstituted their missile program. They have not abandoned their support and funding of terrorism around the globe.
The Strait of Hormuz was not closed before we went into Iran. Like that was, I don't even understand why we did not comprehend through a strategic military analysis that would be the first thing that the Iranian regime would do.
I think the Iranians have now realized they might not even need a nuclear weapon at all because they realize that they can control the Strait of Hormuz.
They don't.
The commercial traffic is nowhere near as it was before Trump launched his attack on Iran. And gas prices just hit a record high for the month of August.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic to hear the president say mission accomplished because we can go home. Right? Because when you win the Super Bowl, you don't stay on the field. You go to the after party. You go home. You go to Disneyland.
Guys, recently on Abby Phillip show, Trump's defenders tried to sell America on mission accomplished in Iran, and it did not go well for them. The progressives at the table didn't even break a sweat. They just showed up with receipts. Gas prices, tanker traffic, body counts, the whole ugly stack. By the end, the pro-Trump side was arguing with math itself. Let's break down exactly what happened, because this victory lap has more holes than Swiss cheese.
Good evening. I'm Abby Phillip in New York. 23 years ago, a banner behind George W. Bush declared mission accomplished for combat operations in the Iraq War. Now, obviously, it wasn't, not even close. And tonight, Donald Trump is declaring the same thing, despite his Middle East war still ongoing. The Iran war is nearly 7 months old. Despite initial promises of days and weeks, gas prices are still above $4 a gallon nationwide. And the Strait of Hormuz is still nowhere close to safe or shipping as much oil as it was before the bombs. Now, America's munitions are dangerously low, according to reports as well. 18 Americans have lost their lives, more than 750 have been hurt, and that's the number that we know. And as far as public opinion goes, only 31% of Americans approve of this war. Yet, with no end in sight, the president is having his own mission accomplished moment. And just as a factual matter, it's not mission accomplished. The war is not over. It's still ongoing. Why would President Trump even try to put that imagery out there on the cusp of a midterm elections?
Well, I disagree. I think we've won the war. I'm just waiting for the president to go before the American people and formally announce it. I mean, we've sunk their Navy, we've destroyed their military, we've decimated their defense industrial complex. They have no way to produce a nuclear weapon tonight. And it's been confirmed over the last few days. We've cleared all the mines out of the Strait of Hormuz. Not a single barrel of oil has been exported by Iran since we reinstituted the naval blockade in July. And at the same time, the U.S. Navy has assisted in shipping out of the Gulf 750 million barrels of oil. By any meaningful metric, we have won this war. The president needs to tell the American people that we've won the war and all the ways that we've won the war. And I assume we're going to have to leave some surveillance over there. And that's the truth. Well, and I think that's what we're going to hear from him pretty soon.
Let's just to start with one of the last things that you mentioned, the amount of oil that is coming out of the Strait of Hormuz because we're escorting them. That's still about half of what it was before the war. And on top of that, I mean, a couple of things. One, reports are, CNN has reported that Iran has been active at these nuclear sites. All the nuclear material is still in Iran. They have reconstituted their missile program. They have not abandoned their support and funding of terrorism around the globe. And we still have military assets in the region. I mean, I think people forget that there are, tens of thousands of troops that are there right now because we are in a war posture with Iran right now.
We were told that we were launching this war because we needed to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon, something that I think we can all agree with. I don't want to see Iran acquire a nuclear weapon, but I do think that it has just been delayed, not necessarily the threat eliminated. And on top of that, I think the Iranians have now realized they might not even need a nuclear weapon at all because they realize that they can control the Strait of Hormuz.
They don't.
The commercial traffic is nowhere near as it was before Trump launched his attack on Iran. And gas prices just hit a record high for the month of August.
CNN's own reporting has declared that Iran has lost control of the Strait of Hormuz.
How can you say
They
mission
don't control the
accomplished,
strait.
though?
It's an old talking
How
point.
can you say mission accomplished?
I mean, I think just as on a factual basis, even by the most generous estimates, we're getting 10, maybe 15 ships out of the Strait of Hormuz, compared to 110 before the war. So whether Iran has full control, we don't have full control, because traffic is not what it used to be. We are still dealing with a Strait of Hormuz
it doesn't
that
all
is
have to go through the
choked up.
strait. We've also come up with other ways to get
that
the
might
oil
be
out.
true, but it is also a fact that the Strait of Hormuz is not open.
I think that
Guys, you can't miss this important context here because history has a sense of humor. 23 years ago, George W. Bush stood under a big shiny banner that literally said mission accomplished for the Iraq War. That war then dragged on for almost a decade, with thousands more Americans dying after the banner already went up. So naturally, being the history buffs they are, Trump's team looked at that disaster and said, hold my beer, watch this. This time it's Iran. We're 7 months in. And remember, when they promised this would take days and weeks apparently now means over half a year with zero end date in sight. Somebody check if the White House even owns a calendar, because the math is not mathing. The human cost isn't a punchline, though. Let's be real about that. 18 Americans are dead, more than 750 wounded, and that's just what has been made public. Meanwhile, gas prices have surged above $4 a gallon, and no, that's not some random coincidence you can shrug off. It's because the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important oil shipping routes on the entire planet, is basically limping along on a cane. Before the war, more than 100 tankers a day moved through there. Now it's around 10 tankers. Yes, you heard that right, around 10. That's not a security win. That's a supply chain on a ventilator. Kept alive by the U.S. Navy, babysitting every tanker like it's walking someone to their car at 2 in the morning. And get this, only 31% of the country actually approves of this war. That's not exactly a parade-worthy number for a win. So when a Trump defender says we've basically won, we just need to keep some assets there forever. That's not a victory. You don't get to declare mission accomplished and then explain why the boats, satellites, and surveillance planes are all still parked there indefinitely. That's like bragging you paid off your mortgage while the bank keeps calling you every month about a missed payment. But here's the real tell, the moment that says it all. Watch what happens when Trump's own side gets asked point blank, if we've won, why can't we come home? Suddenly it's all mumbling about keeping Israel safe and needing to stay just in case. Translation, in plain English, nothing is actually finished. They just wanted the applause before Election Day rolls around.
That calling mission accomplished is the equivalent of saying that Scott Jennings is going to start at shooting guard next to Jalen Brunson next year for the New York Knicks. Like, that's not.
That's a non-zero chance. I am from Kentucky.
That's just not a reality. And the reason that I state that is not just the Strait of Hormuz, but if you would have told the American people that we would have more than a dozen United States military members who were lost, or more than close to 1,000 military members who were injured in this war, they would say, wait a minute, that's not what we were promised. If you were talking about gas prices that are the highest they've ever been, that's not what we were promised. And not just gas prices, but we're talking about farmers in Iowa and Ohio and Indiana, like middle America, because fertilizer prices are going up. There are real consequences to Pete Hegseth's incompetence. That's first and foremost. The second thing is the Strait of Hormuz was not closed before we went into Iran. Like, that was, I don't even understand why we did not comprehend through a strategic military analysis that that would be the first thing that the Iranian regime would do. The last point I want to make is we went in and bombed their regime, allegedly. We thought we took out their leadership. You know what happened? The same regime is still in place. This has not been regime. I don't know what this is. And the problem is we don't get a clear answer from anybody. I think that the biggest problem we have with this war is transparency. Why are we there and how do we get out? Donald Trump can't answer it. Pete Hegseth can't answer it. And right now, Marco Rubio has to be Dolly Parton this week because he takes on every role of the United States government.
So, Caroline, I mean, Scott is trying to argue that Trump should go out there and tout a complete finished war. Is that the right strategy?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic to hear the president say mission accomplished, because we can go home, right? Because when you win the Super Bowl, you don't stay on the field. You go to the after party. You go home. You go to Disneyland. And President Trump has an opportunity to be one of the most consequential presidents of the modern era in regards to the Middle East, because history, if he takes this victory lap and goes home with his win, because history doesn't judge American presidents and their success in the Middle East by how long they stay. It judges them by how little they stay there, which is why George H.W. Bush is more successful than George W. Bush, who you advised, which is why I don't want you going anywhere near Donald Trump's presidency to go ruin it with more of your Iraq 2005 talking
Hold on,
points.
but do you think that Trump has...
Hold
on, do you think that Trump has in fact won the war?
Mission accomplished?
Or do you think that he should just say it?
We can go home right now. At the end of this show,
I know that you don't support this war, but there's a difference between actually winning it and just dropping things as it is and then heading out.
If we leave
the win is depriving, as I just said, the win is American presidents are judged not by how long they stay in the Middle East, but by how little.
If we
the win is to take our W and come home.
Quick question. If we leave today, if we come home today, is Israel safer today than they were yesterday, or no?
I'm an American citizen, and my concern is the United States safer?
Let me just...
I just want to say real quickly.
I need to give Scott an opportunity to respond to what Caroline just said.
Oh, look, my view is we've won. We will probably have to leave some assets in the region for monitoring.
Why?
The
president said we won. We'd go home.
I would take Israel off the chain and say, listen, it's your backyard. And I would tell the Gulf allies who are now aligned against Iran, thanks to the president's leadership, do what you have to do to keep these people in check. I assume we're going to have a CIA plane in the air for the forever to monitor all their nuclear sites.
Though. If we won, can we go home?
I think that's perfectly fine.
So you're not answering me. You're not even looking me in the eye.
You were saying you would take Israel
off the chain.
What does that mean?
You do whatever you have to do to keep yourself safe.
So you're basically saying they're on their own?
No, they're our strongest ally in the region. But as a matter of warfare against Iran, we've done our job. And the president has won this war. Now, Israel has different equities because they have to live next door to these people.
We have not won this war. We're not in a better position
Can we go home? And why won't you look me in the eye and answer a simple question, which is if we have won the war, we can go home. That's what you agree, right?
Well, number one, I don't answer.
When you win, that's what you do.
I don't know you and I don't answer to you. That's number one. Number two, I think we've won. And I think we can leave assets in the region that are in the best interest of the United States.
What are the assets that we should leave in the region? If we've won, why do we need to leave assets in the region?
Because we're not isolationists. We have assets all over the world.
But if we've won...
Which we haven't. Let's be clear.
We're acting like we've won.
Wait, I'll answer. We have not won. We won World War II, and we still have troops in Europe. Is that okay with you?
Now let's get into the part that should really embarrass the "we won" crowd. The central justification we were given for this war from day one was stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. That was the pitch. That was the justification for the money and the troops sent over there. So here's a fun fact for you. Iran still has significant nuclear material, and there are serious questions about how much of its nuclear capability was actually eliminated. And without full access to those sites, nobody can even say with certainty what remains of Iran's nuclear capability. That's not mission accomplished. That's mission, we'll deal with it later. And there is a massive, genuinely terrifying difference between those two things when nuclear weapons are on the table. It doesn't stop there either. Iran's regional proxy network never got the memo that the war was supposedly over. The Houthis are still causing chaos in the Red Sea. Israel and Hezbollah are still trading blows in Lebanon. None of this paused for the war. It just kept humming along through the ceasefire and well beyond it. So when Trump's team insists Iran's regional influence has collapsed, and here's the kicker nobody wants to say out loud on camera, the regime never actually fell. We bombed buildings, sure. We hurt their military, fine. Nobody's denying that part. But the same leadership structure is still running the country, according to intelligence from Trump's own administration. So if toppling the regime wasn't the goal, cool, that's a defensible position to hold. But then somebody needs to actually define what winning means here, because right now it looks like we've poured an enormous amount of money into this thing just to hit the snooze button on a problem instead of actually solving it. Oh, and there's a bonus disaster brewing on top of all this that barely made headlines. American military resources got stretched so thin chasing Iran that intelligence reportedly picked up Putin sniffing around NATO's weak points, wondering out loud whether we'd even have the bandwidth left to respond somewhere else. Shockingly, absolutely nobody who studied basic strategy, that is exactly what happens when you wander into a forever war with no exit plan. You don't just gamble with one region, you gamble with global stability and hand every bad actor on Earth an open invitation.
You're talking about ships?
I was like, do you want to just head to the...
Yeah, are you talking about ships? You want to keep ships in the region with hundreds or thousands of American soldiers on them?
I think patience with the naval blockade has worked for the president, and I wouldn't prejudge how soon you would stop doing that, but I think at a minimum you'll have aerial monitoring and satellite monitoring of Iran and any other rogue nation forever.
Okay, the American people don't think that we've won this war. We've asked them in surveys, they've said no. 52% of America says that they're actually worse off because of the war. 75% of America feels like the war has cost them more than they were willing to ever pay. So we can sit and have a conversation about if we won the war. If we have won the war, this is not what I thought winning was going to be. I don't think this is what the majority of Republicans thought winning was going to be. Seeing our gas prices go up 40%, energy prices going up 13%. When are we going to determine winning to be taking that $120 billion that we spend in Iran and putting it here, housing, healthcare, making sure people have wages increasing? That's what winning should look like for all Americans, and that is not what...
Well, I'm just curious, when you say this isn't what I thought winning would look like,
winning
what did you think it would look like?
Scott,
winning looked like no new wars like Trump.
Let me let Josh respond.
I'm curious.
Before we started this war, the only thing that was in between us and what we wanted was Iran not having nuclear weapons with a set of successful negotiations. That is what is between us and them not having nuclear weapons.
No, we don't need successful
before we start. Yeah, we do. They're in the same. The Strait of Hormuz was not closed before this war started. Like Abby said, 170 oil tankers were going through there every single day. Yes. Why are only 10 going through, Scott? And listen,
we have escorted 750 million barrels of oil through the Strait.
I do want you to actually answer that question, because this is just emblematic of like a broader glossing over of reality. If you're claiming the Strait of Hormuz is open, why are there only 10 tankers coming through the strait now?
Well, first of all, I'm not claiming it. Brad Cooper, the commander of CENTCOM, is talking about it.
If you and the administration, the president, is also claiming it, why are there only 10 tankers coming out of the strait right now?
Well, there's tankers going through at the escort of the United States Navy. 750 million barrels of oil.
I know, but you're not answering my question. It used to be 110 a day. Now it's 10.
We don't need as many to go through right now.
We don't need that. Tell that to the American people who are paying record high gas prices for August.
It is a small fraction of what it was before. Is that not emblematic of a Strait of Hormuz that is not
I'll give you a strategic reason why ultimately it doesn't matter, because we have figured out how to move oil out of the region.
So then why haven't gas prices gone down, Scott? You just said it doesn't matter.
So we have figured out how to move oil out of the region, not entirely through the Strait of Hormuz, is number one. And so we have basically taken away the strategic advantage of being able to close.
But gas prices are still elevated in this country as a result of the war. Yeah. So what you're saying and the reality that Americans are living with are not the same thing.
They're eventually going to come down, just like Trump said this war would only last 4 to 5 weeks, and now it's dragged on for nearly 7 months.
And all of this is happening at the same time that we produce enough oil to make ourselves energy independent.
Okay, Scott, that's
apart from what's happening in the Middle East.
The point is that Iran is emboldened now. Prior to this war,
emboldened?
Yes.
Their economy is in free fall. They have hyperinflation. Their leader is a cardboard cutout. They are not emboldened.
Shutting down the strait under our pressure. They are emboldened.
The economic stranglehold we have on them has not emboldened anybody.
So then why won't they make a deal?
They had a deal.
Because they're religious fanatics who are trying to bring about the end of the world. They're not deal makers.
So you're agreeing with Josh?
Can I ask you a question?
Josh just said that Iran is emboldened. The regime is the same. They are now backs against the wall. You just confirmed that they're religious fanatics. So you're saying nothing has really changed.
Well, I mean,
mission accomplished.
I have argued from the beginning it was going to be near impossible to make a deal with religious fanatics who believe that ultimately they'd like to bring about the end of the world and destroy Israel and destroy America.
At what point
we tried. They didn't want to do it.
So at what point do we
we've strangled them to death economically.
At what point do we get to the objectives that were stated at the beginning? Prevent Iran from ever having a nuclear weapon.
We're there.
Prevent them from being a malign actor in the region.
Just eliminated.
We're there.
Neither of those things have happened. Iran still has all of its nuclear material in its possession, A. And B, they look at this. I mean, look at this full screen. All of Iran's proxies have been continuing with their malign activities in the region. The Houthis have been active. The Saudis are responding to Houthi attacks. Israel is responding to Hezbollah attacks. These have all happened since the resumption of hostilities on July 7th. So that doesn't even count everything that's happened in the 7 months since the war began.
Let's talk money for a second, because Republicans love lecturing everyone about spending, deficits, fiscal responsibility, right up until it's time to fund a Middle East war with no exit plan, and then suddenly the wallet flies wide open. We're already talking about tens of billions of dollars spent on this thing, money that could have gone towards housing, healthcare, or actual wage growth here at home, and more than half of Americans surveyed say they're worse off because of this war. Higher energy costs, higher grocery bills, absolutely nothing improving in their actual daily lives. 3/4 say it's already cost them more than they were ever willing to pay in the first place. If this is what winning looks like, I genuinely do not want to see what losing looks like. Here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. At this point, it's hard not to see this mission accomplished moment as political messaging heading into the midterms. Facts be damned entirely. And the facts, unfortunately for them, are stubborn little things that don't care about talking points. Tanker traffic down roughly 90%. Gas prices surging. Troops still stationed there indefinitely. Nuclear material still sitting in Iran. The same regime still calling the shots. That's not victory. That's spin with a marketing budget, sold hardest to the very people footing the bill every single time they fill up their tank. So here's the question nobody in the Trump camp seems to be able to answer, no matter how many times you ask it straight to their face. If we truly won, why can't we leave? Why do we still need permanent surveillance, a permanent naval presence, permanent monitoring of a country we supposedly already beat into submission? You don't stick around forever after the actual win. You stick around when you're not sure you actually finished the job, and you're just hoping nobody checks the receipts before November rolls around. That's it for today, guys. What do you think about Trump's Iran mission accomplished claim? Real victory or just campaign spin dressed up in a flight suit? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.